something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. There's battle lines being drawn. Nobody's right if everybody's wrong. Young people speaking their minds are getting so much resistance from behind. Time we stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Hello and welcome to Day Release, a film review program looking, or whatever we want to call it, YouTube vlog thing. Where we look at the some of the latest-ish films that we've found interesting. So this week we're going to do 3 films: Raging Fire, The Innocents, and Escape from Mogadishu. Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
Nice, smooth. Yeah, I'm Robin, and that's Clive over there. There you go.
Yeah. So I guess I was thinking about this because we're in different places in the world, and you know, there's like things get released at different times. I guess our definition of recent release is like within the past year, 6 months to a year, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully within the as close as we can get to new feeling ish.
Yeah. So these all came out obviously last year, but mostly towards tail end.
Yeah. So let's talk about Raging Fire, shall we first?
Okay.
This is a film which is written and directed by Benny Chan. I don't know how much you know about this guy, but he died, didn't he?
He did.
Recently.
This was his last film.
Yeah, and it involves a fucking rock hard cop. And police corruption, and this uncorruptible cop going against a whole gang of very corrupt ex-cops who have been released from prison, having been caught up in some sort of let's say a sting, if you like, isn't it, where it's the higher ups have encouraged them to be corrupt and then hung them up to dry. And so you've got a bit of sympathy there for them, but they're all badass as well, really hard, hardcore fighters.
I was trying to think. I was watching this, and the idea of ex-cops coming back as like robbers or whatever. I was thinking, this is from something, isn't it? Like this. Yeah,
I kept thinking, is it Face Off? Is it?
Yeah, I couldn't quite figure out what it was.
Or something like, and I couldn't work out.
Well, I couldn't figure it out either, but it's something, isn't it? And obviously, if anyone was watching this, they might be screaming at the screen, right? It's whatever, but I couldn't quite figure or remember what it was.
No, it's not. I haven't seen Face Off. I think I looked up the plot of Face Off afterwards to see. That's not it, is it? It's not
I don't think so, but I haven't seen that for and then I was thinking because a big influence on this film, I think, was Heat, right? The shootout in the streets, and I was thinking, I can't remember.
Heat,
Were they? Was the gang ex? I don't think they were ex-cops, right? Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and Val Kilmer. I don't think they were ex-cops, were they, in that film?
I don't remember. I have seen it, but it was long. It was in the year. a long time ago. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I think.
Anyway, this film copies some of the film, but we don't know what.
It does. It's very derivative of that film.
Of loads of things, actually. I mean, it's not a film you go to for originality, right? It's a bit of a cliche.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Unless the fighting is quite original in some ways. There's a lot of moves that are, I think, probably quite, well thought out and original. Although I couldn't, because we missed last week, I couldn't pick out the specifics of when he did that, when he knocked him against the table and bonked his head 3 times with the.
Right. Well, yeah. So it's Donnie.
It was good fighting.
Yeah. So obviously, with Donnie Yen doing the choreography and everything, then you're going to get good action, right? But
yeah.
Well, right. So I think you seem to have enjoyed this film a lot more than I did.
I did, but it's mainly because I haven't seen a martial arts film for ages, and
okay.
And it was refreshing to see someone being beaten up and look like they actually get hurt.
Right. Right.
And it would hurt. And the other thing I liked was the fact that Donnie Yen, I'd not encountered him before, so and the fact that he looks like I looked him up after his mum's a wushu master, isn't she?
Right.
His dad was what is his dad? I've got it here. His dad was like not a bus driver, but a newspaper editor.
Okay.
and he looks, Donnie Yen, like a sort of a paper pusher sort of thing, who is who when he rips off his shirt it's like and he's just so I guess it was fresh for me encountering this person, and in that particular role that he plays in this film where he's actually inhabiting that sort of straight guy paper pusher, and everyone else is like kind of more grizzled, and he's just got such a clean, warm, but also kind of like, I don't know, Bob, we really shouldn't be pushing those boundaries in that way, Bob. We might all get fired.
Donnie Yen impression I've ever.
I think you'll find if you translate that into Chinese.
He's turned into
Bob.
He's turned into James Stewart in The Wonderful Life.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Mary, I am Donnie Yen. Merry Christmas.
Yeah. So that's what he's like to me. It's like the James Stewart of martial arts. So that's why he appeals to me.
Interesting. I kind of see where you're coming from. The thing is, I'm very familiar with Donnie Yen.
Yeah, I thought you would be.
So I'm just trying to put myself back in the headspace of not, and I can kind of see where you're coming from a little bit. Like from the neck up, you wouldn't necessarily. Yeah, he looks as if he might. Like,
he's got a thin face. It's not built. He's not like that.
Right. Kind of slightly goofy.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't. And when they're trying to corrupt him, is you do believe that. I feel like he's so incorruptible that the producers of the film said, hey, we want you to be a bent cop, and it's like, oh, well, I can't do that for my fans, so I think we should make it so that I'm an incorruptible.
He's got a new voice now. He's got so many faces.
He's also like Ed Miliband. That's why, to me, I don't know if we can really do that. So
the many faces of Donnie Yen has traveled through Robin.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's why
I was thinking that sometimes he's a bit like, all right, now I'm Donnie Yen.
Yeah. Well, the bit where he says, the bit where he says,
anyway, yes,
I don't know what you're saying to me, but yeah, wait, because he is a bit like,
yeah, he's a bit,
Billy,
he's a bit. What
Billy
was that?
Connolly.
Scottish.
That's a perfect Billy Connolly. Anyway, forget it.
See you corrupted cops. You're shite. You're all shite.
You see when a cop's walking across the street and you're thinking to yourself, where do they walk right now? The cops.
Wow, this went downhill quickly.
I'm Donnie. Yeah. Good night. Right. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry.
Donnie was having a wee jobby.
This
So apart from all that, I mean, we're doing a really good job of portraying exactly what this film is like. Donnie Yen is an uncorruptible Scottish policeman. And yeah. Anyway, the thing is that the plot doesn't really matter because it's a total cliche film.
It's got some rubbish dialogue that I noted down a bit about. I don't know if you noticed this bit where he says they have the ex-cop and Donnie have this conversation of like what do they call those conversations in film where it's like supposed to be a tense moment where they're having a subtextual conversation, you know, like and they go on about like a police officer can't fear too much. If I was scared, I'd have long changed careers to postman. Well, and then Bong says, being a postman is pretty good. I mean, being a postman is pretty good. You just send mail. Right now, you guys seem to send people off. I've gone the wrong way around anyway. Butchering this so badly. Anyway, he goes, we'll see who sends who.
I'm just wondering if anyone's actually decided to tune in like, I wonder what that I really want to know what that Raging Fire film is like.
Well, they found out now, haven't they?
No, so it's all about the action with films like this, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know. The thing is, the action is definitely spectacular, and I can see how, if you hadn't been watching martial arts or Hong Kong action for a while, then yes, it would be like, oh, great, I've been kind of starved of this kind of thing for a while, right? But because I tend to watch quite a lot of it, so and it doesn't mean that it's not spectacular. It still is spectacular, but some of it is so conceptually ridiculous that So and I could probably if I hadn't seen a film like this for a while, I could that would probably override that, and I think, I don't care, I'm just going to go with it. So I can see how you would have had a good time with it, but for me, because I watch quite a lot of action stuff like this, there's one scene, for example, during a chase scene where he's on a like a roof overlooking a road, and the bad guy's getting away. Yeah, and I'm like, how's he gonna? And he just like jumps onto a car to stop it, and it just seemed like it seemed like they'd thought of the stunt first and then how to shoehorn it into the narrative kind of thing, right? It was just a weird, like, why did you? That was a very, good on you. It's a great looking stunt, but it doesn't really fit.
It always felt like it was gonna. It was gonna. They were trying to be realistic, but it was always gonna sort of balloon into Bollywood style, kind of over the topness in that bit, because that bit did throw me out, and I thought, oh, are we going down that road?
And there was like
standing on the top of motorbikes going,
right. And there's one set piece which did make me laugh out loud, actually, where during the car chase, there's like the car's heading towards like a pedestrian, and he kind of manages, and there's a lot of CGI mixed into it. So he manages to like spin the car and jump out and roll and grab the little boy who's crossing the street, and it was just.
I like that bit there.
But it was so ridiculous.
It was, but it was also just it was because I fitted his character a bit, and I liked Donnie Yen so much that I was there with him, not for the diving off the building and onto I think it was the car or the lorry or whatever. That was stupid, but I got into how powerful he is.
He's like a superhero at that point, isn't he, almost?
Well, yeah, but he's also just really fast at moving and punching.
Oh yeah, of course. I am a fan of Donnie Yen as well, and I was surprised to hear you were unfamiliar with him, actually, because I thought you might have. I suppose in recent years his big hit series would have been the Ip Man.
Yeah, no, well, I just started watching that today because I'd seen that around.
Yeah,
and I thought that, I guess unless I've heard about him or unless there's been a buzz about him, I've heard about him from someone else, which I hadn't. It hadn't occurred to me that he would be that good, that worth it, because I didn't, and I just there's been a whole spate of kind of like over the top kind of wire work type kind of mystery, vaguely historical films, haven't there?
Right.
Chinese historical films and things like that, where there's a lot of fighting and wars and battles.
Films and stuff, and
yeah, exactly, so just judging the book by its cover, sort of thing, I hadn't really hadn't completely appealed, but
you didn't know he was Scottish for a start, right? You wouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly. If I'd have known he was Scottish, I would have been straight in there. Yeah. He's American, isn't he, as well? Or
no, I think so, no.
Yeah, he lived in America as well as Hong Kong. Anyway,
when he was growing up.
When he was growing up. Yeah.
Okay. To be honest, I don't know much about his background. I mean, I'm familiar with his career, but I don't know much about him.
Well, I think I say he just interested me because he's not like he's very elegant at moving, and really does throw I wouldn't mess with him.
No. Well, what's interesting as well, he's been around.
Very rarely do I get that, really.
He's been kicking around for a long time, and for whatever reason, he doesn't seem to have broken through outside of Hong Kong and stuff until later in life, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been in movies since like the 80s, right? Things like Drunken Tai Chi and stuff when he was very young. So, but he's also, the other thing I quite like about what he does as well, I think he's taken a bit of a page out of Sammo Hung's playbook a little bit as well, is I think he likes his fight scenes to include very impactful moments that kind of make you go, that looks genuinely painful, right? Like like the choreography's gone out of its way to have people land in like awkward positions or stuff like that. I always appreciate that.
Yeah.
But for me, and another problem I had is some of the scene. I liked it when they were on location most. So when they were clearly shooting on the streets of Hong Kong, that was fine. But there were a few. There was like there's one scene where they go to like, it's kind of like a shanty town, like filled with crooks and stuff, and there's a big fight set piece, and it really looked like they built like a shanty town in like a set or something. So everything about it looked like, even though they tried to make it look it looked like too precise or something.
Did they not have, you know how in Hollywood they had a permanent kind of Western set, didn't they?
Right.
And I wonder if they have sometimes it really feels like they have, I know this isn't Hollywood, but they have some films where they've had a permanent a post-apocalyptic set,
right,
that type of thing. So it's multi-purpose, and they shoot like over the course of I'm not saying they did this, it's just that had that feel of it where it's like, on Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Fridays we're shooting Raging Fire, and then we've got apocalyptic John on Mondays, and the Last Man on Earth on Tuesdays, only after Raging Fire says, it's like all these kind of
Well,
I don't know if you do that, but in Hollywood anyway. But it sometimes there's definitely Hollywood films, lower budget Hollywood films, where I'm convinced that they've got a higher budget looking film by virtue of
because they used
renting out the set that was used for something else.
I don't know about that in this case, and it is a Hong Kong China co-production as well. So I don't know if any of it was actually filmed in the mainland as well, where I'm guessing there's a lot more room for having long-standing movie sets. I know they built one spectacular one a couple of years ago somewhere in China, and they filmed a TV series and a few movies and then they opened it as like a theme park. Speaking, we might get to Chinese theme parks a little bit more in the next episode or the one after. Anyway, and this film's too long. I thought it's like over 2 hours long, right? So
yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
for sure.
So Benny Chan died during post-production, I guess. So the end credits and everything, they're what's the word? Dedicated to him, right? And there's some like behind the scenes footage of him directing and stuff. And the main bad guy, Nicholas Che, sings something over the top of it.
Oh, I didn't watch any of that.
Oh, okay.
It was too long. That's why. Oh, he died.
I'm not really. I mean, no disrespect to Benny Chan.
Yeah,
he's a fine director and everything, but he wasn't. He directed a lot of very kind of big, kind of hit films, and obviously he knew how to handle a big production. But most of his films were not really my. They were very much like this in a way, like big, kind of extravaganzas, but very kind of cliche template kind of films, but with some good set pieces here and there. And so yes, too long, and it's all
beautiful
about
eulogy there, though, Clive.
Huh?
Beautiful eulogy.
Thanks, man. My good friend Benny.
Yeah. I never really liked his films.
Well,
No,
I think you peaked with
what was
Donnie Connolly.
anyway,
Yeah. Anyways, so I think I think our reactions are maybe quite instructive, though. I think if you're maybe more immersed in Hong Kong action, then you might it might not necessarily blow you away. But if you've been starved of some proper action for a while, then it might just do it for you.
Yeah. Yep.
All
right, let's move on then.
Play? Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Escape from Mogadishu.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good film.
This is a South Korean film.
Yeah. You do the intro for this one.
All right. So this one directed by Ryu Seung-wan, again, who's become quite the guy to helm kind of big action films. He did the Battleship Island. One I quite like called The City of Violence, which was pretty good. And Arahan. I think Escape from Mogadishu was this year's or last year's. I think it was Korea's entry for best foreign language film or whatever at the Academy Awards, right?
Yeah, did it? Didn't it get notable mention or so? Oh no, that's no. Okay.
Yeah, well, I don't think they've had the ceremony yet, do they? So
okay.
Unless you've got a bit of precognition.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be this year's Parasite, right? It's not.
No, but it's it was good. Yeah, I thought.
Okay,
but it's
again.
Yeah, anyway, okay, we need to do the pot. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you've enjoyed this film more than I have. Again, I think. But yeah. So this is set in Mogadishu in Somalia, and it's where you get a little bit of an intro explaining how basically both South and North Korea are wanting to get into the UN, right?
Is it both South and North, or is just the North trying to stop them from getting into?
No, I think they both want to become members of the UN. And what I was actually surprised, because I wasn't aware of this, I looked it up. I was surprised to find that both South and North Korea were actually admitted to the UN General Assembly in the early 90s. I was surprised to learn somehow that North Korea was part of the UN General Assembly.
Yeah.
Very
For
different
how long?
times. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So it starts in and then in 87, I guess the civil war in Somalia. Oh no, sorry. The diplomats are sent to Somalia in 87, and then it's 1990, right, where the civil war kicks off. And then, basically, in a nutshell, it's a story about South Korean ambassador and the North Korean ambassadors who are both there, and there's a lot of espionage stuff about the
low level.
North selling weapons and stuff, and
well, then that's not low level, but I meant more kind of the kind of trying to scupper each other's chances of joining the UN. The arming the rebels part is the more
right.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and then so basically the North have the people from the North Korean embassy have to take shelter in the South Korean embassy, and basically it's all about them trying to get out. It's a bit of a Korean kind of Argo, right?
I haven't seen Argo.
Oh, okay. Argo was during the Iranian Revolution, and it was people trying to get out of the country, And,
okay.
Yeah. So
a historical event, not a film. Okay.
Right. So I think Argo is definitely one of the reasons this film got made I think was, it was a bit of a template for, we can do our version of, even it's a true story, but it's somewhat similar kind of setup, right? And the dynamics of it. And and then basically it's a race against time. They have to get, to the airport so they can get evacuated before Mogadishu falls, I guess, totally.
Well, they have to get to the Italian embassy in the end, I guess.
And they managed to get to the north by claiming that they've defected to the south, and they help them escape. But it's all so my problem. That's kind of the problem. One of the problems I have with this film is, this film is not in the least bit interested in Africa, Somalia, and Mogadishu.
No, that's true.
It's very much a film about North and South, right? So, and the revolution is the civil war is pure backdrop, and there's not one Somali character with like any agency, right? I mean, they're all fairly faceless.
They are. Apart from Swama, I guess, or Salma, he's the only character who has a role in a way.
Right. There's not much to it, though, really.
No, it's just. I mean, the way I saw that was just that. It seemed to me like the writers and stuff, they were doing it for a domestic audience, and they wouldn't
absolutely
they wouldn't even be able to do it any justice if they tried. But what they did give some justice to was the experience of actually being in that revolution. So they didn't give much. They were quite weak on the politics, and they kind of did a bit of like the corruption within the Somali government, but it was very weak, really.
And I hear what you're saying. There's a certain validity in a way of like, well, we don't actually know anything about this, and we're not even going to pretend we know about it, and we're telling this story, not that story. And I suppose that, again, you could even go so far as to say there's a certain validity as well to, if you were in that position, it would be scary, and everyone would just seem like a slightly faceless menace. There's like one quite good scene I thought that was done quite well, where they come across some child soldiers with automatic weapons, right? And they start pointing the automatic weapons at them, and then their kids automatically straight away realize that they're playing, and they pretend to fall down dead or whatever. And then the adults finally catch up with, they're just playing, and then they fall down dead. But then it turns out the weapons are very, very, very real. I thought that scene kind of did a good example of just putting people in a totally nightmare scenario where they're like, what the fuck is going on? There's small children with very deadly weapons.
Somehow it would be worse being shot by a small child, wouldn't it?
Right.
But
so that was quite good. On the one hand, I understand why they did it, because they're kind of, they're speaking to something they can speak to, or rather than. But at the same time, it just seemed a little bit like I'd quite like to have a little bit more.
But the thing is, there's the not being able to do it justice thing. But then the film is about being alienated within a country. It's about having that sort of strange privilege of being the ambassador of a country, with it, and having living on the ambassador's row in this.
Right.
I mean, the corruption in Somalia was completely out of hand, and it did actually make me look it up for a start. So I mean,
that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
But it's also, I just wanted to know, because you don't get that from that film. You don't know who you see the what's his name? I've forgotten, because I looked it up last week, but the rebel leader. There were two rebel leaders, and they eventually split off because the main rebel leader, I get the impression he did most of the kind of hard graft of, most of the sort of dirty work, but then, the West and stuff sort of favored this other rebel leader who was a bit less killy or whatever. I don't know, or might have killed the right people. Anyway, it was, it was absolute chaos. And I think it's, in a way, unless you're Somalian, you're going to find it really hard to penetrate that, because like so many, like so many of those situations where, well, with that one, it doesn't seem to have been a CIA-backed coup or
right.
Russia-backed coup type thing.
Right.
There was some elements of people involved, but it was much more.
It wasn't a proxy war, right?
Yeah, it seemed like a more of a kind of, people were obviously fed up with corruption. It seemed more like there was a whole, there were obviously there's always going to be lots of players involved, and
right, but the source of it was organic, right, and homegrown.
Yeah, it seems that way, and so what I got from that film, in a way, especially after reading about it, was putting yourself as an ambassador. That's how it's going to seem. You're not really going to, so you were with them in a way because you're going to care about your, your immediate kind of cohort and stuff like that, and that the scenes where they face, they have to go, through the town and get to, different bits, and and they face these children or people with guns, and it had that alienation to it, which I liked that, in a way, because it was that's how it would feel if you were an ambassador,
right? Right. No, I see what you're saying. I don't want to both sides it, but yes, I definitely see. I see that, and this is an action adventure film, a thriller above all else as well. It's not really supposed to be a political film necessarily. It just has a backdrop which is political. But I'm just very conscious of, I think sometimes we, as nice lily-livered liberals as we both are, I think sometimes we tend to give the benefit of the doubt. Like if you imagine that this was a Hollywood film with all white actors, and it was a similar setup, you'd probably be slightly more quick to say, none of the indigenous characters have any, but because they're Korean, maybe we don't necessarily, don't quick to judge it, but
I agree with that. And I honestly don't know what my reaction would have been if it were the other way around, if it were like a more Western film. It's like I say, it's just that it served that purpose of the film, but it wasn't like it didn't occur to me that none of the Somalians got a look in.
Right.
But when they did get a chance to act, they were all really, really good. I thought, Swama, the character, when he came in, like, is it Swama? I forgot his name. When he comes in and he's been shot and he staggers. This is some of the best staggering I've seen in a film ever. I think it's really, really realistic. I don't know if you noticed it. That kind of just really good at staggering. Anyway, so it's not a huge accolade. You don't tend to get Oscars.
No, there we go. We've created best stagger.
Yeah.
So we should mention as well that Kim Yeon-seok plays the South Korean ambassador from the Chaser in the Yellow Sea. It was shot in Morocco. So I suppose what most people are gonna, like it's not a badly made film at all. I just thought it was a bit standard. Like it was fine. It was, but not, it started to drag a little bit for me, and I wasn't getting much that I hadn't. And then the big extended car chase action set piece happens, that's a pretty impressive set piece, an extended set piece. That was very exciting.
I hope that's based on some truth. If it's not, I don't mind. But I mean, it'd be nice if it was.
I don't think it is.
No. Okay. Fine. The only question I have is because you've obviously watched loads of Korean films. How preoccupied are they with exploring the relationship between North and South? Is it because it seems like a kind of a regular preoccupation?
No, it is in a lot of films. It's something that I suppose it would be, right? I mean, it's omnipresent.
Yeah, of course. It's just that that's part of it, isn't it? Why it sort of has this insular thing of like, that you have. Let's really focus on the thing that matters, which is our relationship.
Exactly. They don't really care about Mogadishu.
It's like if someone.
You put the nail on the head. That's exactly what my problem with this was. In a way, was they've, as you mentioned, I've seen so many films about North and South, and then they've gone to Mogadishu, and they do another North and South film. It's like,
I think like a kind of like you turn up to someone's couple's house and they're having an argument, and you're like, you wanted to tell them the news that you got cancer or something, and they're like,
right,
they're in the middle of an argument. Oh, that's really bad for you.
Well, anyway, I'm interested, but he's probably not interested in your. This is the perfect illustration of what's wrong with you. Is I'm empathizing right now with your.
All I can do to empathize, and you're doing nothing to.
And then Donnie Yen comes in, and he goes, "Man, you're both arguing about the wrong thing.
Come on, guys. Jello." Sorry. It's just all over the place. All right. Should we move on?
Okay, well, I mean, once again, I suppose you seem to enjoy this film a lot more. Not that I disliked it, but
I thought it built up nicely to the crescendo moment. It was very tense, and again, you would be making a different film, I think, if you were to, even if you, it's looking at the history of Somalia. That is like a separate film. It would be good to, because there's a lot in there. The thing I was reminded of, the only thing I've seen similar, I like the scenario of the ambassador's residence and all that sort of thing. It's a good in a way, because there are lots of films about the conflict zones and things like that. This one, and nobody fucking watches them, or like only ever film festivals and things and BFI.
Right. I mean, the one standout though is again when it's nothing to do with. So the other big film from this conflict is Black Hawk Down, right? That's the other one that people actually saw, but that's because it's about white soldiers in danger.
And so in a way, I'm just from a Korean perspective, say it would be similar from a kind of more Western perspective, or whatever. You get that, you get an in, don't you?
Well, like you said as well, it sent you off to research stuff, and that's always a good thing, right? I mean, if a film sets you off to look up further.
Yeah, although I am interested in. I didn't know anything about that. But the play, the play I've seen that it reminded me of was Blood and Gifts.
Okay.
which is based on a book, and that's all about. That's based in the UK embassy in somewhere in the Middle East, and it's about all that kind of. But that is more political, and it's about all the meddling in the country from the British, British interests in the Middle East. So that would be a counterpart where they've done it. They've written it that was that to include the political element and the corruption and stuff, and the from the British point of view, the meddling in the country, the money to which warlord to spark which bloody feud, etc. Again,
Ryu Seung-wan makes action films, right? He doesn't make those kind of films necessarily. So,
but again,
one of those, it's fine, I guess.
It with the player, it didn't hardly any of the native characters got a look in, but it still included this kind of.
I bet the play didn't have a car chase in it.
It definitely didn't.
Anyways, right. So switching gears. So The Innocents.
Yeah.
And this I very much enjoyed. This was my favorite of the three films we watched. Yeah.
Okay. I liked it. Okay. Yeah.
So you had a good show. You had a good show this week. You had three.
I did. Yeah. I've enjoyed all three films. This one I'd say. Yeah, I guess it depends on the mood. I did enjoy it though. Should we do the plot anyway? It was the plot's based on the what's it called? What's that? I've forgotten the book it's based on, and the play.
Is it based on a book?
Yes, but it's not Taming of the Shrew.
Oh no! I know what you mean, but it's.
And there's a film.
Yeah,
but it is based on that
premise, I guess.
Pardon?
So you're thinking of Turning of the Screw by Henry.
Turn of the Screw, that's it.
Yeah,
not Taming of the Screw. Turn of the Screw, and the Innocence film. It's obviously changed, but that does have a similar plot. Children with powers, and there's a duchess with talking. It's just different. But it's...
I mean, I was wondering about that. I mean, because if you're making a film about like sinister children, then it's one of the things that comes up. It's going to be in the back of it, and also Village of the Damned and stuff like that, right? And but I was wondering, so the origin is it the Uskildij? I don't know. So this is a Norwegian film.
The Uskildij.
Uskildij. I'm sure that's spot on.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
And I'm guessing The Innocents is a direct translation of that into English. Might be wrong. It might actually mean something else entirely different, but I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt that it is. So you're saying you think the connections, because I was wondering about this, if you're like a fairly cine literate filmmaker and you make a film called The Innocents, you're probably going to be aware that there's this really famous older film called The Innocents, right? So you're thinking there might be a deliberate connection rather than a coincidence.
What I told my partner about the plot, which we haven't even outlined. We should probably do that in a minute. But and she said, "Oh, like the turn of the screw."
Right.
Oh, okay. And so that's why I'm saying it, because if she recognised that from the plot that I outlined on this one, then the influence is there, and then obviously there's the name The Innocents, which I haven't seen that film.
Right. When I thought Innocents, I was wondering if when I became aware of this film, I was wondering, was this a remake or something like that?
Yeah, but it's not a direct remake.
No.
They've changed lots. I think they've obviously, gone for a different angle.
I think more than anything else, it's a film that they made that was kind of in similar territory, and I think it's a nod to that, right? Having that title, it's like, because maybe, I don't know, maybe the Innocents is called Det Uskyldige in Norway as well. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm just wondering if it's more along those lines, like a tip of the hat, rather than it started as let's remake The Innocents or something like that. Yeah.
You know, I mean, because on a council estate. All right, should we do the plot? The plot is just it's a Nordic version of a council estate. So it's got a sort of
nicer.
Yeah, it's got the feel of kind of Carrie, but within a lovely woodland with a beautiful mountain and a lake. They've got a fucking lake, haven't they? And it doesn't occur to you because it all seems within context, but you think, how many council estates have got a beautiful lake? Anyway,
right.
It is supposed to be a council estate, isn't it?
It seems to be like a new development.
But
it's like surrounded by
social
woodland.
housing. I get the feeling, that it's.
Yeah, I didn't get the feeling it was for like rich people or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
they
didn't. But
as usual, Scandinavia gets it right. Like when we watched The Painter and the Thief, you saw inside, like, Scandinavian prisons look really nice. And apparently Scandinavian estate.
Yeah, it's just that 4 or 5 degrees above ours, so that it's our luxury housing. But that's there, like, I don't know if you'd like to live there, boy.
Look at this fucking dump in Scandinavia, North Wales.
So
people watch us just for our awesome accent.
They do. They're waiting for the impressions. It's this council estate. This new family moved to this council estate. It's terrible, I tell you. It's terrible.
Absolute shit hole.
We
only have one leg.
One leg on a tiny playground with 2 sand.
Now we're in Germany.
But there are some garages, and they're not very well placed. The girl, there's 2 girls. One's young, and the other one's got autism. We find out, and then the younger one.
This is Raquel Leonora Flottum, and and the older sister with autism.
Alva Brinsmore Ramstad.
Yes. Who? I mean, she gives all the kids in it. Everyone in it is good, actually, but I thought she gives a really good performance, and she is somewhere on the spectrum, right? The actress, I think.
Oh, the actress.
Yeah.
Is she? Oh, but not that.
Yeah.
Not that level of. Okay. But I thought Raquel Lenora Flottum was amazing. The younger ones.
Yeah, they're all good. They're all good.
Yeah. Anyway, Ida, Raquel Lenora Flottum, she befriends a young boy called Ben.
Played by Sam Ashraf.
Yeah, Ashraf.
Ashraf, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. And he shows her that he's got a sort of icebreaker, is this thing where he can move a bottle lid if he drops it, and it will whiz off. And then she does this wonderful. It's just such a childlike moment where she's sort of like when she's got that really teethy smile, and then they start giggling in this kind of, but it's so natural. It feels like almost impossible to get kids to act that well.
Right. Right.
don't understand how they managed to.
Well, there's a lot going on here, I think, which I admire. It's the weird cross section. So he has telekinetic powers, right? But as you're watching it, because we're so used to seeing, superpowers and things like that couched in a certain type of film, right? So then when you're watching this and the first couple of times he does it, you're like, what? You pay more attention because you don't expect this element in this film, right? Because it's got a slightly kind of kitchen sink drama or realist or documentary, like kind of very low key vibe, right? And like you said, child actors. And then also, even though I'm sure it's a very simple thing they do, but it's such a perfect special effect, the way they do the bottle cap falling. There's nothing hokey about it. Like, it looks like it is genuinely moving it with his mind. So it makes you sit up in your seat, right? Because you're like, so this is a like, it has fantasy elements, this one, but you don't expect it. So it's I like that. I like that it's in this very low key way, right?
I think the only thing that maybe primed me or something was that I was off the back of having watched, what the fuck is it called? I've forgotten. Not Ica, or no. There's a thing I watched it on Netflix. It's about the Icelandic volcano. The one that blew up, sent the massive ash cloud.
Yes, I remember.
Years ago, and it's a whole series about people kind of coming back from the dead, but covered in ash and stuff, and it's like a mystery. But again,
is it any good?
I enjoyed it, but it's so downplayed, and it's so like dark, and like that. It's just dark and Scandinavian sort of thing.
Well, see, this is interesting. I think this puts you. It's interesting. I gathered, even though you liked all three, this might have been the one that was least enjoyable. And like I was saying with the other two films, because I watch a lot more of those kind of films, but they stood out less. So I obviously watch less of these kind of films, but impressed me more than it.
I mean, it's not that I didn't enjoy it. It's just that there's one problem with it that is not really. I don't really have that problem, but I do have it, which is similar to what we were just talking about in a way. I'll get to that in a second. It's just I was primed, I guess, when that bottle lid went off. I was like, we've got ourselves a Scandinavian mystery, and I know that then it's going to be like really subtle and really downplayed. Everything's going to be downplayed.
Right. I'm slightly less used to that because I don't watch that many of those kind of things. So it's interesting, isn't it? It's what you bring to it, you take away from it. So the one case it was for you, and the other for me. For this, it was more fresh. But
it was still really good. Right. And anyway, so and then there's this other girl called Mina, called Aisha, who's played by Mina Yasmin Bresmith Aisham. And she is she's also got psychic powers to read minds, right? And then there's a kind of mind meld aspect that goes on between the kids, where one of them enhances the other's powers and things like that, and kind of
it's like a circuit. It's like a circuit or something. Except Raquel Lenora Flottom is not part of that, right? It seems at least that she's the one kid who maybe doesn't have a power, right?
Yeah, she just at first she's just comes across as a sort of psychopath, because she's the first thing you experience with her is she's in the car on their way to the council estate, and she's pinching her autistic sister's arm,
right?
Saying, you still don't feel pain. Until you get the feeling that I mean, that the scene with the cat, we won't go into it, but that was fucking horrible, man.
It's pretty nasty.
And that's the other thing, because with the Icelandic thing, that I watched. It's similar, like, it's relentlessly dark sometimes. Oh, okay.
I think what really upset me about it is they dropped this cat down a stairwell, but it's the fact that it's not just they drop a cat down the stairwell and then it's dead. There's like the cat gets up and like hobbles away, and it's obviously got like a broken leg or something. It's just like it's really drawn out and quite horrible.
Super dark. It's very realistic. Yeah,
it is. What I liked about that as well, in a way. So at first, when we were seeing her pinching her, and then I was thinking, oh, is this just going to be like her and the Sam Ashraf character? Are they both going to be quite nasty? But turns out, so Sam Ashraf character is properly a little psychopath, isn't he? Yeah. And I quite like the fact that she soon distances himself from him, because again, in that nice kind of low key Nordic, very realistic, relentlessly realistic way, I quite like the way that they don't. He's a psychopath, but also at the same time, normal kids can be really cruel. Like, you have both of them. They have I like that they didn't have just the squeaky clean kids versus the bad kid, right? Like, even the squeaky clean kids have that element of cruelty. I appreciated that level of realism.
She was a very subtle character. The thing is, she didn't seem to experience emotion. That's the only thing. So I wondered whether the idea was that she was just emotionless. She had a low emotional range.
Lacked empathy or something.
Yeah, lacked empathy, but at the same time knew that it was wrong, partly because I don't know, but the only criticism was, here we go with our kind of like are you aware of this thing? I don't know what it's called now, but there's a criticism of Stephen King as does it, where it's like you have the magical, I think it's the magical Negro or something like that.
Oh yes, the magic Negro theory. Yes, I am aware of this. Yeah,
Hanrahan and stuff like that. So the only thing from The Shining with you got the shining boy.
Right. Yeah. But there wasn't a character like that here, wasn't there?
No, but it's not overdone, obviously, for Scandinavian. But the only thing they fall foul of, if you like, in a way, is the othering aspect, where it's the autistic character and it's the two brown kids and one with vitiligo or something. It's like it does do that. It's not necessarily
right.
It's just that it's sort of like if it was going to be something, it would end up being that sort of thing. It's like it falls into that thing. Probably, there's no intent behind it. It's not like, in the same way that, like with Stephen King, it's almost sort of like he can't picture black people as anything but they're just so often the voodoo, type kind of thing. Magical kind of, and it seems to almost subconsciously, accidentally fall into that. And it's not it's so good in other ways, and those kids play so, act so amazingly well. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. But it's not intentional. It's not like it's just slightly there, not that much there, just a bit, because it's either, it's just got the only bit is in the final bit when lots of kids have suddenly had their psychic powers kind of.
Well, that's I mean, we'll try and avoid spoilers a little bit with this film, because I think it's worth, not that it's really necessarily a shock or anything, but it's interesting that so at that point, I know the point you mean. So when the children where you're suddenly aware of more children on the estate than previous. And so that's interesting, because I think you could read this either way. So are you saying that that's more overtly? Do you think when they come out, that's more of the film's trying to go for a Village of the Damned kind of thing, that all the kids are aware of what's happening and their power is utilized to do something? Or because
no, that's not how I saw it.
Oh, okay.
No, it's just that they're all aware of, and usually because they're younger, it seems, they're aware of a change in the kind of, how the wind change.
Right. Yes.
They're aware of the change in the psychic energy of the.
Yeah, they're tuned in, like in the same way that they they apparently they put those high frequencies that only teenagers can hear in front of convenience stores and stuff like that, so they don't cluster.
Yes, or like Jack Torrance in The Shining. Anyway, not Jack Torrance. What's his name? The other kid. Anyway,
I remember.
Yeah. Anyway, like, it's not, it's such a good film in terms of like building up that psychic energy and making it, and just being having this whole world of horror that none of the parents are aware of. I mean, it only just, because I don't know what is that a spoiler? I'm trying to think of, when there's a death, for example, you'd think that there would be they acknowledge it and stuff like that. The parents are aware of it. It's not like,
right.
But it's I think if there were those kinds of death on a council estate in Norway or Sweden, I think it would be more kind of like everyone would move out. It's just those are the only parts where it doesn't sort of it's not quite realistic for the circumstances, but it still works as well. I mean, because it's so
right,
so subtle and downplayed everything.
Including the kind of big climatic ending as well is very kind of subtle, but it's gripping. But it builds to, well, just some leaves moving on the floor essentially, and not much else. But it packs a punch, and it's really well done. And there's a nice little added just coda thing, And no, I like this film a lot. I wasn't sure if I was going to at first. But it did keep me quite absorbed all the way through, and it was a further extension as well, I guess, of I don't know if you ever saw that film, A Chronicle, about the teenagers who get superpowers after a meteorite lands in the garden. And it was pretty good. It was kind of, again, it was the Hollywood version of let's do a more low-key, realistic superhero film, and it's found footage and stuff. But but of course it's Hollywood, so it's all incredibly heightened. But it was pretty good for what it was. But I was thinking, okay, this is one step further again. This is like, what if really small kids had superpowers, and one of them was a psychopath as well, right? So So it just struck me as another, along that continuum, it's another way of looking at it. It's a different, more interesting way to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like it's this borderline thing with the Ben character where is he a psychopath, or is he just he's got these powers and they kind of like they control him, or that they kind of like it's just got that thing about childhood where you're curious about something, so you do it. So with the cat,
right,
like obviously and then afterwards you have a reaction, but then he doesn't seem to have a reaction,
right? And she does, yeah.
But he kind of does put it out of his misery, but yeah, he's a subtle character in the sense that yes, he's sort of like yes, he has a malicious edge, but it's that thing of wonder what happens if I do that, but with superpowers, where it's sort of like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't really like that kid. What if I?
Right.
Well, that worked.
But I think he does go. He does go one step further than that, right? And that's what I was saying earlier. I quite like the fact that they established early on that kids are little fuckers. Anyway, all of them. So no, I thought that this was a good film. I don't know if it's. I mentioned it to a few people who keep more up to date with new releases than I do, and I was quite surprised that a lot of people are, I've not heard of that. Like, it doesn't seem to have. I don't know. I might be wrong about this, but it doesn't seem to have been.
Yeah, so it was in un certain regard at the 2021 Cannes Film.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Well, that's something I thought. But then again, like you said, sometimes with film festivals, you get that, and then no traction beyond the film festival, right? Like, I don't see it, but it's a good film. I liked it. It was my pick of these three. Which of these three was your particular favorite, then, Robin?
I don't know. Well, because I've never met Donnie Yen before,
right?
Glasgow's
own Donnie Yen.
Huh?
Glasgow's own.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and because I like his face so much, although not his Wikipedia entry face. Look at that. I mean, that's putting me. It's putting me right off there. What the fuck is that?
You printed out the Wikipedia page?
Yeah, because I'm not good at reading it online, so I have to print it out in order to.
Oh, right. I didn't know that.
Just get yes, I get eye fuzz. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, but I can't really pick.
Okay,
well, they're all so different. It doesn't matter. No, they're all really different. I think they're all worth seeing, and I recommend them all.
Okay.
All. Yeah.
All right. Okay then.
Let's call it a day then.
Till next time.
Oh, it's Donnie Yen. Hi.
Hey, it's me. Hi.
Oh yeah.
That's good. Yeah, it's all right here in Hong Kong.
What was my original Donnie Yen impression? Was he Welsh? I can't remember. Oh well.
Right.
Forget it.
Until next time then.
Yeah.
Bye.